Welcome to our new show, Green Gardens to Chocolate, the real comfort food. I'm Joy Binah.
Hi, I'm Rita Rivera, and together Joy and I are going to take you along with us as we explore the importance of eating well, of reclaiming our health and vitality, and also to understand how the choices we make every day impact the health and vitality of our planet. On our show, we are going to be presenting you with delicious, scrumptious recipes that you'll be able to try at home. We will look at sustainability with really engaging interviews, stories with notables in our community, authors, healthcare practitioners, and even local entrepreneurs. So come along with us as we do these wonderful on-site visits and experience the richness and diversity in our community, learn about nutrition along the way, and understanding how delicious, nutritious food can be the go-to place for our comfort food. Ken Foster is a native of Santa Cruz, California. In 1985, Ken was an apprentice at the UC Santa Cruz Farm and Garden and has a certificate in ecological horticulture. Ken also has an AS degree in horticulture from Cabrillo College. Ken is a landscape contractor, a certified permaculture designer, and owner of Terra Nova Ecological Landscaping since 1988. Ken also teaches the permaculture classes at Cabrillo College. Ken lectures on topics relating to sustainable landscaping, including fossil-free landscaping, sustainable design, hardscape and softscape installation and maintenance. He served on the board of directors of the Ecological Farming Association for 10 years and currently serves on the planning committee for the Ecological Farming Conference. So Ken, please tell our viewers about the difference between permaculture and horticulture.
Okay. Well, horticulture is really the science, technology, art, and business of plant cultivation, plant care. And many of the courses that we have here at Cabrillo involve the art, technology, science, and business of horticulture, of plant cultivation. Permaculture is really a design science that is based on a few ethics. The first ethic is care for the earth.
Right.
And the second ethic is care for people.
Oh, that makes sense.
And the third ethic is designing for surplus and using the surplus to take care of the earth and the people.
Great.
So it's kind of a closed loop system. And so everything that we do in permaculture, the science of permaculture, we kind of check back with the filter of the ethics.
Right.
There's a large set of principles that we use. And for instance, one of the principles is produce no waste. So when we're designing systems that don't have waste.
That's excellent.
And so that takes some forethought.
Absolutely.
And as we're applying our principles, we check to make sure that they indeed are taking care of the earth and the planet and people.
As a culture, we don't think about that. We don't think about designing for waste.
Yeah, and so there's a whole bunch of different principles. Another principle is catch and store energy. And so when we're on site, we're looking at using the energy of the sun, of capturing rainwater, for instance. Those are examples.
Great.
So permaculture is really a design science.
That's great.
And horticulture is really the broader realm of plant care and all that goes into that.
Wow.
So,
that's great. And both of those are taught here at Cabrillo.
That's correct. Yeah. And I teach the permaculture class here that's in the fall, and it's an all-day Saturday class. Goes from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock on Saturdays.
Wow.
From September through the middle of December. And it's a really fun class. We have field trips that go all over the county.
Oh, that's fabulous.
We have great guest speakers.
Yeah.
And then everyone that does the course actually takes on a design project and works in a design team and applies what they're learning to an actual design. And then at the end of the course, they present that their design to the rest of the students.
Well, it does sound like a lot of fun. Do they normally choose projects in their own home, in their own yards?
Not necessarily. We've done projects here on the campus. We've done, you know, it's different every time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's home landscape. Sometimes it's commercial. We like to do projects that have public access.
Right.
Because we want to have high visibility.
Yes, right.
Kind of want to scale up.
Yeah.
Because permaculture really needs to go mainstream and it be something that people really are familiar with, because it really solves a lot of our problems in the world. And Bill Mollison, the co-founder of permaculture, reminds us that while the problems in the world are increasingly complex, the solutions remain embarrassingly simple.
It's good for us to remember.
And a lot of the principles and the action and the technology of permaculture are some just very basic, simple, common sense things that we can apply in our day-to-day life.
Right. And it usually does come down to common sense, doesn't it?
Exactly.
You know, for someone who's so passionate about permaculture and horticulture, can you say a little bit about our current farming practices? Because that's something that concerns me.
Yeah. Well, it's a big concern, the way that we take care of the soil and the water, how, you know, the way that we conserve water, that we're using that precious resource, and the same with the soil, when we're using toxins, pesticides, chemical fertilizers. We're tilling in all weather because we have to get a crop in the ground. It really degrades the soil, and then we end up having we have erosion. We're losing a large amount of soil, more than 1% every year, to erosion, and we can't afford to lose this precious resource of soil that we depend on to grow our food.
Right, and microbes too, they're affected by all of this as well.
Yeah.
The microbes that keep the soil really healthy.
Right, and we call that the soil food web, and there's an amazing web of life in the soil that we teach in permaculture.
Yeah, I'd love for you to say a little bit more about that, actually, the soil.
Well, just bringing in organic matter and making compost. We always make a compost pile during our permaculture course here, and then looking at how to incorporate that into the soil, and using mulch to kind of shield and take care of the soil and prevent erosion and prevent compaction. And
moisture, it keeps the soil moist,
keeps moisture in. So really looking at the soil as a live being that needs care and attention.
Yeah, I love that we think about the soil as being alive. And for folks at home that are doing something smaller, what can they really do? I think you've spoken a little bit about having a compost bin and something simple that we can all really do.
Well, how about a worm bin?
A worm bin?
Yeah, a worm bin. Vermicomposting, it's called.
Okay.
And I've got one at my house, and we take all our kitchen scraps, and then we put it in the worm bin. And they're red worms. They're also called manure worms.
Okay.
And they transform what would be garbage or waste. And if we're looking at that principle of produce no waste, worms help us achieve that, and they turn those kitchen scraps into the best fertilizer you can buy.
Wow.
And it's free. They're working 24/7.
Wow.
And it's very alive. Castings, the manure castings, the worm castings that we can incorporate into the soil.
And do you need a large area for this, or if someone living in a townhouse? I mean,
you can do it in there is a product called Can of Worms, and that's a modular system that has trays.
okay.
And it's not much bigger than like 2.5 feet across and a couple feet high.
Yeah.
And so that it's pretty small, pretty easy to maintain. It's helpful if you can go in with your housemates or neighbors or family and put all your kitchen scraps all together.
Yeah.
So because the worms are busy and you want to keep them fed. And
yeah, they want to be fed.
and they need everything we need. They need a place to go that's kind of their living space, or we call it bedding. And they need their food, and they need a place that they can leave their castings or their manure.
Yeah.
And they like it dark and moist.
Yes.
And one secret for worm bins is using old burlap, like a coffee bag, and moisten that, and they like it dark and moist, and they'll thrive.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, I hope we've inspired some of our viewers here to consider that.
Yeah.
And is there something you would like to share about what's coming up in Cabrillo, or any courses coming up soon that our viewers might be interested in?
Well, the fall semester starts in September,
Okay.
beginning of September, and we have a great array of classes here. Lisa McAndrews has been teaching edible landscaping here at Cabrillo since I took courses here back in the 80s.
Wow.
And there's organic food production, and there's soil science taught by Peter Shaw, and propagation, and then I teach the permaculture class that starts in the fall.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Did you know that food chemists discovered that the conventional ways of preparing garlic destroys most of the health benefits? Raw garlic contains the ingredients necessary to make allicin, what's most active and nutrient dense about garlic. Allicin is created in garlic when two substances come in contact with each other, allicin and allicinase. These substances are isolated in separate compartments in the garlic, and they commingle when you rupture the barriers between them by slicing, pressing, or chewing the garlic. When you heat the garlic immediately after crushing or slicing it, you're destroying the heat-sensitive enzyme that triggers the reaction. It takes 2 minutes in a frying pan to reduce garlic to little more than a flavoring ingredient, and 30 seconds in a microwave, which we don't recommend in any case. So, chop, mince, crush, or slice your garlic, and then keep it away from the heat for 10 minutes. During this time, the maximum amount of allicin is created. And garlic has so many healing properties that those 10 crucial minutes is so well worth the wait. Did you know that cooked berries have greater antioxidant levels than fresh? Counterintuitive, I know, especially since we're learning that eating more raw with all the enzymes intact is so beneficial. The reason that cooking increases the nutritional content of berries is that the heat rearranges the structure of the phytonutrients and makes them more bioavailable. You have to consume the liquid they're being cooked in to get all the benefits. And dried berries, though they make a great snack, have lost 50 to 80% of the antioxidants in the drying process. That's so disappointing to hear, but true. One of the most interesting people I have come to know in my lifetime is also part of today's show, from green gardens to chocolate, as we continue to explore the topic of soil. David Raphael is a medical doctor. He is a visionary, a modern-day mystic. He is the founder of a political party, a health-based political party known as the Light Party, and the director of the San Francisco Medical Research Foundation. It is with great pleasure and honor that I introduce you to David Raphael.
Okay.
So David, what a pleasure and an honor it is to have you here at my home and on our show. Such a delight to have you here. And I want to ask you, as the director of the San Francisco Medical Research Foundation,
Yes.
to give us the lowdown on soil, the importance of soil.
Well, I started out way back when as a holistic physician. I stepped out of the allopathic model, and at the time I wrote a book called Medicine Today, Healing Tomorrow. At that time I began to get into nutritional awareness along with other things, and I realized that there was a huge gap in the medical education, which doctors were not educated about nutrition.
Yes.
And subsequently, I wrote a book called The Human Ecology Program, a comprehensive health maintenance and rejuvenation process. And I wrote another book called The Healing and Regeneration of America. And I came to really understand that the key on a biological cellular level is having the proper micronutrients and minerals. Simple, because that's what conducts solar energy, light, in the body. That's where energy is generated. Of course, there are other issues about heavy metals, which destroy the mechanics of the cell. But I realized that the problem, or the issue, was that people were not getting the proper minerals and micronutrients, soil. So more and more people have become ecologically minded, but when you study what's happening and what's happened with the soil, how it's been denatured, the petrochemicals, the GMOs, and how intricate, and you know better than I do because you're working in the soil all the time, how intricate and complex the soil is. And it's really billions of years of evolutionary process went into creating soil. And it's the foundation of food, healthy food. So because of the imbalance, we've denatured the soil, destroyed the soil, and since it's all connected, what do you think the ramifications of that health-wise? Now, I've been reading for years. Yeah, it's a complete medical catastrophe we're having. And it's fundamental. It's not the only issue, but it's fundamentally rooted to the fact that people aren't getting the proper essential minerals through the soil. Well, at least we know what the problem is. And once we know what the problem is, we can resolve it, we can heal it. And to the credit of the holistic community and the nutritional community, more and more people are putting out products that address the issue, where you can get the minerals, you can get the supplements, and so the problem is being, it's understood and it's being resolved. However, the vast majority of people still do not have that nutritional awareness or understanding the relationships. Now, the Bible for me, which is a magazine called Acres USA. It's a book that is educating. So it's a magazine that's educating farmers on how to restore the integrity of the soil. And I've been reading that religiously for the last 15 years. And actually, it's the foundation of my book, Healing and Regeneration America, the Human Ecology Program, and, as an aside, the Light Party.
Yes.
So we are very extraordinary beings because spirit, mind, body. And our bodies, this body of ours, has been built over literally billions and billions of years of evolution. The mineral kingdom, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom, on up. So the bottom line, the foundation, is the minerals, which is the soil. So we are spirits that have a body, also have a mind, but for it to work properly, you have to have the proper nutrients. Simple stuff. So a lot of people don't have energy is because they're eating denatured dead food. Dead food creates dead bodies. Spiritually, you are who you are, connected to divine light, consciousness. But if the body is, basically, if you don't have the proper nutrition, this is a Rolls Royce, potentially, but we're running a Model T Ford here. Hence all these conditions. And when we really look at it, you'll find that most of these degenerative diseases go back to the fact that there are significant deficiencies in the diet, which comes back to the fact that the soil has been severely denatured and damaged. So I had that awareness a long time ago, and I realized it's an educational process, and the farmers have to be re-educated, and they are. But it's still, 5% of the people are eating organic or something. It's still
small percentage. Yeah. So as you're talking about the soil, the depletion of the soil and the benefit of starting to put in seaweeds and
inputs, the proper inputs.
The proper inputs.
And the worms,
likewise,
right?
But in terms of the seaweeds, likewise, we could just directly consume them as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's something that is just now coming out, and people
are
just beginning to be aware of how beneficial
Himalayan salts.
Himalayan salt, yes.
Right. It's all there for the in quotes taking.
Yeah.
But again, people just you got to get the proper trace minerals, and opposed to table salt, which is just sodium chloride, right? You got Himalayan salts. I just read about this Ayurvedic salt that has humus and fulvic acid in it.
Fulvic acid.
Yeah, and it's got everything you need.
Yeah.
And then there's another product out there that I've been following for years, which are the biochemical cell salts, the Schussler cell salts. Are you aware of those?
No, I'm not aware.
Really?
Of those. No.
Well, this guy Schussler, a German scientist, came up with a whole kind of cosmological, scientifically based understanding that all these different cell salts, which are absolutely electronic, essential to the electronic functioning. See, the cell it's actually an electronic machine. That he worked it out astrologically, that for each cell salt there was an astrological component to it, and he developed the 12 Schussler cell salts. There's a lot of information on there. These little homeopathic tablets you take under the tongue, and it gives you the 12 essential cell salts for the proper functioning on an electronic level of the cells.
Wonderful.
useless cell salts. They've been around for a long time.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It is very, and they're not, and it's not expensive, and there are no side effects.
There are no side effects. That's a big plus.
Now that's that.
Yeah.
If I may,
Please
extrapolate.
Yeah.
The reason why there are so many side effects with modern pharmaceutical drugs
Yes.
is because we're dealing with a template. This body, billions of years of evolution, is organic. We're an organic being that's evolving. So you're putting these pharmaceutical drugs are inorganic. So you're putting an inorganic substrate into an organic creation.
Right.
Hence, side effects. I mean, watch the advertisements.
That's right.
So back to basics.
Back to basics in
Yes.
every respect.
Yeah.
And while the soil is catching up with this new information that we've come to realize, we can take care of our own bodies directly with the nutrition that you're talking about. How important it is for us to take responsibility for replacing what is lacking in the soil, what is lacking often in our vegetables, even organic vegetables, with the supplements,
Yes.
the Himalayan salts, the
Yeah.
seaweeds.
It's really an act of self-love,
Exactly.
because our bodies is an incredible creation. So we really want to learn as much about it so that we can take care of it. It's like, it's more than a car, but in many ways, people
a vehicle of sorts.
people give a lot more energy and respect and care for their cars
Yeah.
than they do for their bodies.
Right.
And hence, you don't take care of your body. You don't do what's necessary, exercise, water, proper nutrition. You got a real problem on your hands.
Yeah. Yeah. And self-love is absolutely foundational
You
in our
gotta-
lives. We have
yeah.
to start there.
Right.
Nothing can happen without that in place.
And it's really acknowledging the Creator,
Yeah.
the Creator. Again, our bodies are the result of billions of years of evolutionary work.
Yes.
I mean, it's an incredible creation, the human body.
Yes.
And actually, we have within our DNA, it's designed to keep evolving, which is a whole other subject. This is not the end result. We're being perfected, and we're consciously getting involved in our own perfection process. And the outcome of that is what we're going towards is, at this point in time, beyond our comprehension as far as the future inheritance that is available to us as far as our evolutionary process. So we're not done.
No, certainly not.
It's not a done deal.
No. Yeah. Well, thank you so ever so much for being with us today. It's such a pleasure.
And I want to
have
honor
with us.
you
Yeah.
because, you are living it. You're hands-on. You really have a deep, visceral understanding of all these things, which is, Mother Earth, the Earth, the Earth, the Earth.
Yeah.
She's the mama.